all auspicious blessings and grace of my Guru, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Mayi Swami, I welcome you to this video. Through these videos, I share my journey of conscious evolution, the superconscious breakthrough. I share my journey and the teachings that I have learned from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, which has helped me become a transformed person, which I am very sure will help each one of you who are listening into this video today. My small and humble attempt through these videos is to share the signs of enlightenment, the signs of completion, and hope to make a difference, because I know the teachings are so invaluable to humanity, and this is the least I can do, transmitting what the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Mayi Swami, has taught us, has trained us and ingrained in us. So what is different in these principles and these teachings from what other self-help gurus teach? Everybody talks about having no anger, everybody talks about transformation, everybody tries to help the other person become a better person. There are different organizations, different self-help groups. There are different self-help gurus across the world who are immensely popular, immensely well-loved. But what's the difference between that and what the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is teaching and has taught many of us and will continue teaching? Why should you attend Paramashivoham, the 21-day intense transformational superconscious breakthrough workshops? How is it different? See, the teachings that Swamiji is teaching are based from the ancient Vedic Agamic scriptures. These teachings are taken from the source. The Supreme and the ultimate superconsciousness, Paramashiva, had revealed these teachings, had revealed the signs of enlightenment for the sake of humanity to practice, to radiate and live in enlightenment. But over the years, we all know the history of Hinduism, we all know the lost history of Hinduism, the lost history of our teachings, the cultural and the traditional genocide that Hindus have been through, which has made us lose these fundamental core teachings which help each and every one of us live a better life. But now Swamiji, not now, I don't mean now as in now, I mean in this avatar, as the incarnation of Paramashiva himself, Swamiji is retrieving everything from the source so he can again make it available for humanity to come out from our lowest ebb of consciousness to making a U-turn and having superconscious breakthrough. Second, the ecosystem of Kailasa is simple. Never give up. Never ever give up on anybody, even if the other person has given up on themselves. You may wonder, how is it possible? If I don't want to do, why are you forcing me to do? I just don't feel like living a happy life. I feel I deserve to be in suffering. I am a victimhood. I love victimhood because I deserve it. So why should it bother you? Swamiji has taught us again and again that when that person is so much in suffering and delusion that his or her emotions are over and above important to the consciousness in themselves, they have lost in touch with reality. So it is his responsibility to constantly keep showing that individual, that person, the reality that he is not his emotions, he is not the body, he is something more. He is the superconsciousness. He is a reflection of the ultimate source. Now you may wonder, what is ultimate source? How does it exist? To have answers to all this, please attend Paramashivoham, the 21-day program, which is absolutely free for the next 4 months. 21-day back-to-back program, which will help you understand who you are, what is your source, and how this source actually exists and functions, and how you can radiate living and expressing the same, yet achieving everything you want in life. We are all, as human beings, so conditioned by how others think about us. We evaluate ourselves on how others experience us or how others relate to us. We're always looking for validation. We're always looking to see, oh, is someone happy when they see me? Do I look good today? Or if I look good, why didn't anybody compliment me today? This is a new dress I have worn. How come nobody told me anything? That means there is some problem with the dress I'm wearing. We have such low self-esteem that everything we do, we double question ourselves if we do not receive the responses or the reactions from people the way we want them to react. Did you ever stop and wonder why your validation about yourself is dependent on your family and friends and not on what you fundamentally believe or what you want to do? For example, I've seen many times, even in my experience, I've seen as simple as I just explained about a dress. I would really love something and think it looks great on me. I would buy it and wear it and go out with friends. And then I will be expecting people to tell me, oh, this dress looks great on you. And if they don't tell me, I have a self-doubt whether my choice about the dress I love to buy, I feel so comfortable in, is really complimenting me or not. So the next time I even look at the dress, so many self-doubts creep in that I may not wear it in the near future. It is something as simple as this. To deciding what movies you watch, what books you read, what decisions you make in your life, what profession you choose, how you react in those professions to people. Everything we decide based on what society expects us to behave. We react and respond the way our friends and family expect us to do. And if we don't, we feel something is wrong with us and we need to look in. I want to share one more experience. This may sound a bit different, but few years ago when one of my colleagues had committed suicide, I was in middle of a film shooting in Chennai, and I went in between to pay my last respects to her. I have met her a couple of times, and it was someone whom I really admired for her tenacity, for her will, and it was quite a shock for me to see that she committed suicide. And many of you may know her or have heard of her. It was the late actress Silk Smitha. I really admired her grit from where she was to where she became to how she lived her life was something I thought really required a lot of courage, and admired that courage. So when she committed suicide, I was first taken aback. Why would someone who she has struggled a lot, she has suffered a lot, she has seen so much in life and yet become successful, and something flipped her and she committed suicide. It is just a momentary decision. Then I went to pay my last respects to her, and I could see everybody coming who were crying, people who know her, people who don't know her. But I actually never felt like crying. I was only thinking why she did this, why she took this decision, what made her take this decision. Why would she do something like this when she has such a beautiful life to live? But then I noticed everybody was looking at me and I thought that they were expecting me to cry. So I started looking sad. I mean, I could not cry, but at least I was trying to look mournful. Now, though this incident happened many years ago, it still bothers me a lot. Why? Because one, for many years I felt something's wrong with me because I was not really feeling and reacting the way the rest of them were reacting. Something I felt, oh, there is a disconnect in me. Then, as I studied Swamiji's teachings and understood, I really understood myself at that point of time that I was trying to validate myself with the societal understanding of death and the societal hypocrisy of people crying even though they did not know who she was. And I know many of them did not even say hello to her when she was alive. But they were crying because, of course, there was the media, there was the usual media glare on such a celebrity's death. And I realized my hypocrisy and my struggle inside. Though at that time I was thinking about Silk Smita, what made her decide, I was also thinking about her loved ones, who must be feeling so traumatic, must be experiencing the trauma of losing someone they love so much. So actually I didn't cry, this was my thoughts. Then when I started understanding and studying deeper into Swamiji's teachings and principles, I understood how we force ourselves to react to the societal's expectations or people around our expectations, and that leads a conflict in us, which is why this had left me even so many years later. I'm still able to feel there is why I reacted that way. There is a kind of friction. There was, not now, there was a kind of friction inside me. Why I did not feel like crying, or why I was not crying when anybody and everybody was crying there. And then I realized it was my hypocrisy. And it was the society's expectation of the hypocrisy from me that forced me to look mournful even though I was not. This may be much more deeper, but I'm sure many more of you have experienced such a situation where you tend to respond to people even though you do not want to respond, or you feel this is not the right response, but you're forced to be hypocritical. See, be clear. Being polite, being sensitive, being nice is very different. I would not have really admired myself if I had gone there at the demise of someone and laughing and cracking some ridiculous jokes. Surely not. That's not what we're talking here. But it was a fundamental understanding of how I was seeing life versus what others were expecting from me. So surely not. I'm not telling you should be insensitive, you should be crude, you should be cruel or vulgar. That is not the thing. But when it matters to you, about how you value yourself, this is where I was telling, when at that moment when everybody saw me and I was actually not crying, I started evaluating myself as something lower than what I actually felt. Which is not true, because there is no way me crying or not crying makes me a less human. Yes, if I was cracking some vulgar jokes and behaving very cruelly, it does make me a less human. But not if I am not wailing at someone's death whom I hardly knew. But this understanding took me some time to know why my self-esteem was so low all the time. But it took me many years to understand each and every incident like this and self-analyze. And I understood that most of people suffering today is the low self-esteem. Almost 90% of us carry inside of us. Some of them carry it as victimhood, some of them carry it as violence and express it as violence. But ultimately, all of us carry inside of ourselves the low self-esteem, and we justify that low self-esteem through the expression of victimhood. And it's rather unfortunate that we don't understand that this victimhood and the low self-esteem, once it gets into your system, once you start cognizing your low self esteem, many of us do not take corrective steps like the prayaschitta to re- to reconnect and recalibrate ourselves. Instead, the low self esteem becomes worse. It strengthens by each and every such incident. And we need others to validate us. We need others to tell us we are right. We need others to look at you and tell, oh, you're great. Oh, you're wonderful. You're so sweet. You're so kind. Just because someone does not tell me I'm kind, or someone tells me I'm not kind, does not make me an unkind human being. Unless my actions are cruel. But I know I'm not. Then why should someone's opinion or judgment of me matter me? All of you think about this. Do you believe really what others talk about you? Are you that good or that life negative? Think about it and post in your comments if you had such experiences. And tell me how you actually experienced yourself at that point of time and how you evaluated yourself. I would love to hear from you because it is our experiences who make us each unique. But coming back to low self-esteem, once this low self-esteem gets into our system, it possesses us. It starts from childhood. Nowadays, especially with so much of exposure to television, internet, we're constantly comparing ourselves to celebrities or people who are portrayed as successful. So we're constantly trying to keep up the society standards of what the social media or the mass media or the conventional media thinks is the in thing, the in lifestyle. So when this comparison starts, the suffering and the low self-esteem starts. Either we start thinking, oh, I'm not rich enough to go to pubs, to go to bars, to have high-profile friends, and we start blaming life, we start blaming parents, you start blaming your birth, and finally you start feeling, oh God, this is a shitty life. Sorry, it's a crappy life, and it's not worth living. Instead, try this approach. Every time you want someone to validate you, you first validate yourself based on the very simple human principle of ahimsa and love. If you start assessing yourself realistically, you will be able to understand the difference between hypocrisy and difference between your real self and where your conflict and your inner struggles and suffering come from. Why do you have low self-esteem? Why? Think about it. Think about it and pen it down. You should take time to come out of your low self-esteem. If you don't and you're finding it difficult, and let me tell you, it is very, very difficult to come out of low self-esteem, to complete with the low self-esteem because you feel justified in that re-evaluation of yourself. But even for you to basically understand your present understanding of life, your present understanding of society is not correct, is not in alignment with your consciousness. You need the right ecosystem who will constantly keep reminding you that you are not limited to your body, you are not limited to your mind, you are not limited to this realm which you put yourself into. For that single purpose, Kailasa exists. Kailasa ecosystem exists, and the program Paramashivoham is offered free for all of you. When you fall into low self-esteem and victimhood, it is very, very difficult to talk yourself out of it. That is when we start looking for outer world validation. Either we take drugs to numb ourselves, or we get into alcohol, or we do all these kind of crazy binge diving, para jumping to make us feel better than what we feel, But let me tell you, none of those outer world experiences will ever take away your low self esteem, because it will keep coming back to you again and again, again and again, again and again at many points of life, unless you complete with it. And we are here to make sure you complete with it. Because if that's one thing Swamiji's taught us, is never giving up. Because he has never given up on any one of us, be it Kailasavasis, be it sannyasis, be it devotees, be his initiated grihasthas. He never ever gives up on anybody, and he's so intense and so committed and persistent to show each one of us that we are not what we think we are, and we are actually a better human being, a better person than what we think we are. So this is one core teaching that Swamiji has ingrained in us again and again, again and again, again and again, that we should not give up on people, no matter what they are going through, no matter what you are going through. Making a person experience his higher consciousness is the only purpose of Kailasa. And doing it without giving up. Throughout your life, we will be traveling with you in your life, along with you. Because all of y'all would have experienced the suffering of low self-esteem, the failures that come from low self-esteem, how we react to life, the violence that expresses from low self-esteem. But nobody out there is there to tell you low self-esteem is a delusion, does not exist. And there is a way to come out of it. But you have to be consistent. Swamiji says, like how in Ganga the water flows over the rocks for years and years and years, it keeps flowing. And this hard rocks, the hard crust of rocks, because of the consistent flow of the water, without giving up, the rocks start forming smooth shapes. Like that, Swamiji never gives up on anybody, on any of his devotees. And that's the one thing that he has taught all of us through various teachings, through various techniques. First, we should not give up on ourselves, and second, we should not give up on others also. When you're feeling so lost, helpless, a despair sets in, you feel there is nothing to live for. You feel there is no way to get out of it. There's nothing worthy that I'm doing. And anything I do will be a failure. That time, just remember the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashiva, because he is there for you. He will hold your hand. And that is how Swamiji has held each and every one of us. Don't give up on yourself. And we are here to help you, to hold your hand, to walk you through, walk you out of your suffering, your despair, your sense of failure, your depression. None of this are worthy of carrying. I invite you to attend Paramashiva Home program and experience the transformation that starts inside of you. Life starts when you decide to change it. Socrates famously has told, you cannot change your past without focusing on the future. In the past, whatever you have experienced, the low self-esteem, the violence, the suffering, can be changed if you focus on the future of living life without suffering, without feeling low self-esteem, which will lead you to manifest the life you want the way you want. All your failures in life is because of the low self-esteem you have about yourself. The way you constantly reevaluate your decisions lead to lack of focus, lead to confusion. You lose your way about who you actually are, what you actually want to do. Your individual consciousness has lost its way. You need to bring it back, and it's only possible through conscious living. I again invite you to attend the Paramashivam program because the journey of looking in is not easy. It is going to be very difficult and you need the right ecosystem. But if you are not able to attend, please keep watching my videos, or rather I would recommend that you watch the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam videos. That will take you deeper and deeper to understand and evaluate yourself. And when you have the confidence, when you feel it's time to change, start practicing the teachings that the Supreme Pontiff has taught. Actually, I would like to rephrase and say, don't wait. Start practicing. If you want to manifest the life you want, start practicing the teachings and principles of Swamiji. Please connect on any of his social media handles: SPH Nithyananda YouTube, SPH Nithyananda Facebook, SPH Nithyananda Twitter, to get everyday bliss bites, quotes, the truths from the Vedas and Agamas. Before I wrap up, I just want to leave behind something for you to think of. Why are the wisdom, this knowledge, this science of completion so important, and why do we need to use or revive it from the Vedas and the Agamas? Think about this. Because they are time-tested, foolproof, and have given the world the most amazing, the most intelligent civilization, the ancient Hindu enlightened civilization. It's absolutely foolproof. These teachings are absolutely foolproof because they empower individuals by themselves. You don't need to, once you start learning the science of completion and science of enlightenment, you don't need to actually go to a psychologist, or you don't need another person in your life to help you to achieve what you want in life. You don't need an external psychological support. Don't you think that's the best freedom anybody can give you? Join us, be an e-Kailasavasi, log into our website and sign up as an e-citizen and become part of this greatest revival of humanity, the ancient Hindu enlightened civilization, through the science of completion and science of enlightenment. Nithyanandam.